Today, we're going to be playing some good old retro games. I've probably mentioned here and there throughout these videos, we didn't have a ton of video games growing up. We did get to play a good bit on the computer. I had a handheld at some point. A couple of us had Game Boys, things like that. But for the most part, with my family, we hit a video game era. Christmas of 2003? It was either 2002 or 2003. Based on the games that we would get around then, I think so. We just talked about Christmas last episode, but I didn't mention this one specifically, even though this was a huge part of one year's specifically Christmas, but because it was going to be here. We've got the PlayStation 2, which I don't have anymore. I did have it for a while, but I'm pretty sure it's been long since thrown out by somebody else at some point. Throughout all the moves and stuff, I just don't have it anymore. But I do have a controller, and I do have some other stuff that we'll talk about later. But I'm pretty sure I was able to pin it down to either 2002 or 2003, because at launch, it was expensive. A game console, from what I can find, a PlayStation 2 in that era was $299. How things have changed since then. Not only the dollar, but anyway, the point is, that was the big Christmas present for the entire family. It was a family Christmas gift to get the PlayStation 2, and we didn't have any games for it. But oldest brother rented some games for us. Pretty sure that's where that came from, and I do specifically remember one of them. I don't remember the other. The other is where it really comes down to the release date. One game specifically that I remember us renting because I remember playing it Christmas Day was Bounty Hunter. That was a cool game. I don't have it anymore because it was a rental and I never actually managed to get it at another point. Although I did hear that they did a physical run for it from Limited Run Games in 2019 on the PS4. Maybe I'll try that again because it was a good game. I do remember really enjoying it. But the other game is really where it comes down to, I think it was Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, because one of the games that we played on all the PC games was Indiana Jones. So I think that was it. I don't think we actually got a multiplayer game or any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure we had to save up and then buy the expansion because you could only plug 2 controllers into it at first. I'm pretty sure you had to get the big block in order to put 4 controllers and 4 memory cards in there, and that's how we bought memory cards. Oh man, I'm pretty sure. And then later on we would get some PlayStation 1 games. Spyro, I remember there was a lot of trips to the video game section, which now mattered to us at the Target, at the Walmart, at the Media Play. I don't remember what other stores we went to back then. I don't even know if that one still existed at that point. Any store that sold video games, we would go check it out and see what's in the bargain bin and see that stuff. EB Games, I remember going to that one a lot, and then GameStop, because we did have those locally. And that's where we would go buy video games. And boy, did we play a lot of games. And I've managed to hold on to a couple of them. Whoa. No, I don't, that's a TV trope where people are, just a couple. Just to quickly kind of go over some of them here. Yeah, we played a lot of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I remember that. I also have Grand Theft Auto 3 somewhere in here in this stack. I'm pretty sure. There it is. Yep. I got Grand Theft Auto 3. I remember playing that and enjoying this one. I specifically remember playing this and listening to the radio. They had their talk DJ radio who had all kinds of crazy calls that he would take and things. I remember that a good bit. And then I remember actually playing this. This may have been one of the first games I ever played to 100% because I just played this one so much. Or this may have been the first game that I remember completing the story on because we played it a lot. And I'm pretty sure, I don't remember what year this one came out. 2004 has a copyright date on it. I don't know how I was allowed to play this until later on, honestly. I would have been 13 in 2004. I got a couple Spyro games. These were not ones that we played. We played PlayStation 1 Spyro games. These have been picked up after the fact. Significant other really likes that. We have God of War. I remember my brother getting me this one at some point, and I just went, oh man, God of War, sure. And then I got stuck, and that required me to look something up on the internet about it. And that's when I realized I was playing God of War 2. That's the 2 symbol. I was not that bright as a child. That's when I figured out, because I was looking at God of War guides and looking at it and going, well, I'm this far into the game, none of this matches up. And finally I looked up God of War 2. I guess I Googled something more specific and managed to figure out, oh, I'm playing the second one. fun game. We also played, we have some James Bond games. The campaigns were fun. We played James Bond originally at a friend's house on the Nintendo 64. We played GoldenEye, and we just played multiplayer. And that, I do remember playing some of the, I remember driving in this game especially, I think the Aston Martin. Yeah. But mostly we played these to play multiplayer. That's what we did for games. We just played multiplayer and came up with fun ways to kill each other over and over, or invented new games in multiplayer that weren't actually just murder. Yep, Tekken. We played fighting games as well. We would come up with things like that. This one probably didn't get that much. We definitely enjoyed playing it, but just to be real, I don't know how much we played and did of fighting games. I don't remember owning this in the slightest. I don't remember ever playing a Sims game on a console, so I have no idea where that one came from. Played a ton of Lego Star Wars. Yes, absolutely. I do remember those. Those were a lot of fun, and you know, 2 people could play those, so one sibling and another. Full Metal Alchemist. I was real into Full Metal Alchemist at the time, let me tell you. And so when this one came out, I was really happy about this. I'm pretty sure I played that all the way through. Smackdown, shut your mouth. we would play, did this one have custom characters? I don't remember. We definitely played a ton of wrestling games. I mean, a ton of this. Like, we would just pop it in and just have hours and hours of fun beating each other around, playing in CPUs typically, because there was, between the age gaps of me and my siblings, there would be quite a skill gap as well. So it's not fair to pick on the youngest one, because the youngest one can't physically play the game as well, right? Or some of us are just bad at games, and that's perfectly fine. But I do remember us playing a lot with the CPU, coming up with different things, and I don't remember if this one allowed for custom characters or not, but we made some horrific creations. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Ghost Recon. I played this a lot, and I played Ghost Recon just to play the campaign, but then this had co-op, and so what would we play in co-op? I was much better at the game, and the youngest sibling was not. That, just to be fair, was it the second youngest? One of my younger siblings and I played this game a lot. And how did we play this game? Well, we would try to do some stealth stuff. We were terrible at it. We were not good at actually playing the game or defeating it. But what we could do is play our own game, in which I was the puppy dog, and under full command of instruction of the younger sibling, who would go, all right boy, go get him. And then I would run out and kill the people, because I could actually play the game a little bit better and do that, but still terrible at it. We still had to play on the easiest difficulty. Let's see, we quickly go through some of these other ones. Xenosaga. I know nothing about this game. I remember picking it up and going, this looks interesting, at a Kohl's. At a Kohl's, we would have a Christmas tradition of going with my grandfather to Kohl's to get new clothes. Each of us got a budget. We were allowed to get whatever we wanted. And I just specifically remember I picked out my clothes very quickly. I've never been super into clothing or anything, so it wasn't something that I like spent a lot of time trying to figure out. It was like, yeah, I could get a new shirt or something and then be done. I remember that. And so I'm waiting. My grandfather would basically just go and plant himself in one of the seats and wait. And I remember being near one of the video game bins. They just had like a bundle, you know, or a bin of random video games, and digging through it going, oh, PlayStation 2. And I'm pretty sure I remember picking this one up, and I must have looked at it enough that he thought, oh, this is a game that they really want and they will play. And I specifically, Michael, will play this. And so and so on Christmas, the following time, this showed up as one of them, and I opened up and he's like, yeah, you remember from Kohl's, you were looking at this one? And I went, yes, of course. And I can't disappoint him, so he was like, go ahead and start playing it. I played it that one time, that one Christmas, in front of him, and never again, because I'm pretty sure this is turn-based combat, and I did not enjoy that. I've never touched it since. I just remember playing it and pretending that it was so much fun in front of him, and then not touching it again. Oh man, Need for Speed Underground. This was the racing game we played the most. We didn't typically wind up, I'm pretty sure this is 1 to 2 players. I don't remember us racing all that much, but what I do remember specifically, this, because it was underground, had tons of music that was rap that I did not care for. There were 2 songs that I went, oh, okay, these 2 are good. And one of them was Get Low. I can't remember who sings that song, but I remember that, and I do remember that they changed the lyrics because it was inappropriate otherwise. But the other one was Crystal Method Born Too Slow. I was terrible at racing games. It took me a long time. It was pretty much when I started driving myself, real cars, that I realized, oh, in a racing game, it's meant to be realistic. You don't just gas the entire time always, because then you lose control. I've never been good at racing games or any of that, but I do specifically remember we created it, and I'd ham it up a lot, just, for fun of the siblings. This was how you enjoyed a game with multiple people when you were just playing single player. As soon as it starts out, Crystal Method's Born Too Slow would start playing, and if no one said the words Crystal Method Born Too Slow, I could complete a race. But if somebody said it, something would go wrong, and I would wreck out, and I would lose, and I'd come in last place, and all that. And so it just became a jinx that if somebody says Crystal Method Born Too Slow, it continues to this day of one of the things that we specifically will say over and over. Oh, man. Wolverine's Revenge, that was a fun one. I definitely remember playing that. I played a ton of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I remember seeing the movie multiple times. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. We did play this one together quite a bit because you had 1 to 2 players. You could create your own maps. Man, yeah, we could do that. I don't remember us playing Quidditch that much. I think this one came later. I feel like we played a ton of Quidditch on the Xbox over at a friend's house instead, actually. Whoa, now you're talking. We played a ton of this. I remember this one. I'll be honest with you, this one may have gotten the most plays. I can't remember 100%, but this one may have, there were so many old games in here that we could play over and over. We played tons of Rampart, Smash TV, Joust, Gauntlet. I remember trying to play Gauntlet. Yeah. Root Beer Tapper. This was how we got to play some really old games, but this is what we grew up with. And we played a ton of this. Enter the Matrix. I remember playing all the way through. This was a ton of fun. I was a little disappointed in the fact that I knew Matrix from the first movie, and I went, cool, I get to play as Neo. Nope. That would be a different game later on. Let's see, it's another Spyro game. I do actually remember playing this one. I think I have played that one. Force Unleashed. Yeah. Force Unleashed, I remember that was a really good game. I played a ton of that. I don't remember playing Bully at all. Oh boy, Dark Cloud. Single player, but man, we played a lot of this. Oh man, I don't think I ever beat it. This would be one I would want to go back and play because it was just a ton of fun, but I have tried it at some point, and just the gameplay is really slow. But I do remember some specific things of fishing. I remember crafting the weapons. They had there was a whole system. I remember this was one that you really needed to look things up online in order to learn how to make all the different weapons. Another Lego Star Wars, another Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Hey, I bet we owned one of these, and then my significant other owned another copy of those. Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. This ridiculous game. We did play this. I remember this. I remember the Pod Racer game as well, but that we played in arcades, Dave and Buster's, and also on the PC. I remember playing that. But yeah, we played some Super Bombad Racing. That was fun. Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. There we go. This is the one I was talking about. I do think we must have wound up purchasing this at some point, or somebody gave it to me. I don't remember. I don't remember anything about this game. I do remember a few things about some old Indiana Jones games, but I don't remember this one at all. So I don't even know if I played that one. Bionicle. I remember this. The movie came out. I was all into Bionicle. I owned them. I've got tons of them. This would probably be a future video at some point, just because of how much I liked Bionicle back in the day. But we got the cream of the crop here. A couple of them that I saved for last. I don't know where Kingdom Hearts 1 is. I just don't have it. I should have it. A game that we played more than anything, that took over all of our lives. Everyone wanted to play this game, was Kingdom Hearts, and then Kingdom Hearts 2. I think Kingdom Hearts 1 had already come out, and I remember picking it up later and playing it a few times. And I specifically remember playing it while we were over at my grandmother's house, because she came in and she recognized Mickey Mouse and thought that was cool, and then didn't understand why our shoes were so big and why we were attacking people with a key. And then I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 2 a whole lot. I really do like Kingdom Hearts. That's a good one. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I don't know where my copy of Battlefront 1 went, but we definitely played a lot of that. 2 played more. I remember playing 1 a good bit. That was a lot of fun. We would typically just make a custom match and wind up running around, play on the same side, play on opposite sides, but 2 happened the most. And 2, I remember very specifically inventing another one of our own games in which I was the taxi driver. We would play on Hoth. We would play where you would get in a snow speeder, and then you'd go and pick up the other person. You both had to play on the Rebels, I guess, because that probably wouldn't have worked if one of you was playing as the Empire. But I do specifically remember having to go and pick up my sister in the snowspeeder and then drive her wherever she wanted to go. And typically that wound up crashing into some of the mountains and stuff. We played that. I really liked it. I've played some of the other Battlefront games, the more modern ones. Honestly, I think this one's better. I really like the way they did this. They had the whole campaign where you would go and fight in different battles from like almost like an RTS perspective of like planning it out, and you could either choose to go play in that battle or not. This one had the space battles. Man, this was a lot of fun. And then you could go and do the fight as a Jedi. You could go and do that on the ground. We would set up the superpower, the Jedi only one. Man, games before microtransactions were just a whole thing. Man, we would just invent our own games in them. And then, I don't know if we played it the most, but we most certainly put a ton of time into it. I guarantee you, if I were to reach out to my sister right now and say, hey, what's the health code for Return of the King? She would tell me. It's like L1, L2, R2. I've forgotten what it is, but you do that. And that's how we played the game, because we were not good enough to not play it without cheat codes. But the cheat codes being built into it, we memorized them because we used it so much. And yes, this game, fantastic. I wish they would. This deserves a 4K remaster, 100%. This was an amazing game. I think we actually wound up playing some of the other Lord of the Rings games, but this was the one that, like, oh man, this thing is amazing. And this brings us to the next thing. This one game in particular is the entire reason I bought a PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3. It was years later when I finally picked one of these up. I was all into Xbox. I played most games on Xbox by this point. I've got way more Xbox physical games for the Xbox 360 and Xbox One than what we have for PlayStation. But at some point down the road, 2013, maybe 2014, I finally picked up a PlayStation 3, and I went out of my way to make sure I got an older model, because the Slim already existed and the new ones already existed by whatever point I was buying this. I wanted the old Fat Boy one that had the specific, I looked up the model number and everything to make sure that it was backwards compatible with the PlayStation 2 games, all in the name of, once again, playing through some Return of the King. And I've never done it. I'm pretty sure I bought the thing. It was a whole thing to get. I went to GameStop. I ordered it. I bought it. I specifically asked and made sure I talked to the people there. And I went, this is the one that I want. Do you have this one? Because if not, I'll go to another location, another GameStop that does have it. And they went, no, we've got it. Here you go. And I got it, and I got home, and I tried playing it, and it would not work. None of the PlayStation 2 games would play. It was the wrong one. And I checked the model number and went, oh yeah, this is the wrong one. And I took it back to GameStop and went, this is not what I wanted. I wanted the PlayStation 3 that was backwards compatible, the big fat one. And they went, okay, no problem. We can get that one. We just don't have one in store. We can have it shipped from somewhere else. We can definitely, that specific one will work. It will just take time. It took like 3 months to get that. They had a whole problem. I kept just going in. I got to know the people really well. I kind of made a jerk of myself at one point because they did. I just kept coming in being like, has it come in yet? Has it come in yet? And it's just more and more excuses, more and more ridiculous. The UPS driver stole it. At one point, that was what they told me. They straight up said the UPS driver stole it. We're trying to get another one. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know what was going on in the situation. I don't work at a GameStop. I've never worked at a GameStop. I don't pretend to put myself in their shoes, but that was the same time where I was obviously frustrated because it had been multiple months. At the same time, I was trying to purchase a copy of Ocarina of Time for the 3DS because my significant other really liked those games. I never played any of them, but really wanted to play through that again. And I was buying a used copy from eBay or Amazon. I don't remember at the time, but I just remember like we were then just as an excuse shopping around inside the store. And I remember mentioning something and being like, yeah, if it doesn't show up the next week, I'm probably gonna have to contact somebody or, start getting, and And the manager of the GameStop thought I was talking about this and jumped in and started going, who? Wait, what? Trying to make sure they weren't about to start getting in trouble for whatever was going on. Not what I was talking about, but I do feel like a jerk because I wasn't specifically. Anyway, I explained. I was like, no, it's this. It's like, well, we've got that one here. I was like, yeah, if I have to come back and buy it in person. I actually wound up getting 2 copies of that because I complained and went, hey, it's been such a long time that this has been sent and I still never got a tracking number. And then 2 of them showed up. So anyway, I wound up getting 2 of those. But eventually I got the PlayStation 3. And I think I popped it in just to make sure that some of these games would play on it, because it's not every game. If I remember correctly, not every single PlayStation 2 game is backwards compatible on the PS3, but some of them are. I also have some PlayStation 3 games. Remember I said something about Kingdom Hearts? Well, I wound up buying I definitely went out of my way to buy the collections because I still have a goal, and one day I will finally go through and play every Kingdom Hearts game. I've played all the main series games, and some of the other individual handheld ones that have happened, but some of them you can't. Some of them were on the DS and they no longer work. Some of them, all they did was grab, I think Birth by Sleep was one that I tried to play. One day I will go through and play every Kingdom Hearts game. It's not today, but one day I will. And then I do remember after getting the PlayStation at some point, my brother also bought me another God of War. And this one is still sealed. I never played it. I meant to play it. I always thought I would play it at some point. And I went, yeah, and I just never got in the mood for it, and I've never played it. I've played one of the newer God of War games for PlayStation 5, but yeah. Maybe one day. It's just sitting here. It's certainly possible that I will pop this in at some point and play the game. This was how I played Destiny for the first time. At some point I was playing when I got a roommate who was into video games and we both wanted to play. I'm pretty sure that's how we wound up playing through Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls is a whole other thing. I promise you there is a video coming of that at some point. I'm currently working on it. It's on my short list to do, but I really enjoyed 2. Apparently I own 2 copies of it, and I have to guess that was because that was the way that we were both going to play it together. It was I'll buy you a copy, I'll buy me a copy, and we'll play through it. And we played it on PlayStation, I think. Or maybe I just wound up with 2 at some point. I don't know. I do remember playing Destiny. I do remember playing a lot of Destiny with that friend because that was how we played through. That was the only time that I played Destiny, and I tried playing it on Xbox at another point. But anyway, another one that's still sealed. Pretty sure my brother gave me both of these at some point where he went, oh, you got a PlayStation now? Here, these are the games you should play. Because I never played Ico or Shadow of the Colossus. Don't know anything about these. Maybe I'll play through them at some point, but I've just never. HD video output, 480p, 720p, 10. That's not, 480 is not HD. I'll give it to you, 720 apparently technically counts. But anyway, my original idea for this video here was not just to talk about the video games. It was to play them. I wasn't going to go through all of them. I was just going to handpick out a couple, and we were going to play them. I was going to boot it back up. So I pulled out the PlayStation about a week ago to start prepping for this video. I wanted to turn it on first, so I plugged it in, made sure that it would actually function, because it's been in storage for quite a few years now. I was not the last one to play it. My significant other was to play Last of Us, because the Last of Us disc was still in here. So I haven't actually touched this thing in quite a while, but it did. It turned on, it still functions. I got the Last of Us disc out of here. I don't actually know where that one went. I must have moved that somewhere else, but anyway. Here's the problem. I set it up, I tested it. It turns on, I can get a signal when I plug it directly into the TV, but this has HDCP, I think is what the acronym is. I don't remember. It's protection. It's so that you can't record things off of it. It knows when you plug it into an HDMI cable that's going into just a display, a TV, and it knows when it's being plugged into a recording device. I thought I got around this back in the day because I'm pretty sure I tested it, and I have other recording devices from older ago. I have component cables, even the HD ones that are the red and blue and green. I tried this. I tried old capture devices that I bought a really long time ago that have the ability to capture through said component. I tried a second one because I have 2 of them. I tried everything I could. I cannot get a signal out of this into my recorder in any way whatsoever. The multicam setup that I have uses HDMI. Running directly into that doesn't work. Running directly out of anything, I have not been able to. I tried for hours to get this to work and no solution. I can't get a signal out of it no matter what I do, even using these, even plugging. Nothing works. And so my last resort was, I guess I could just point a camera at the TV screen. I should still be able to maybe get audio, maybe, because of a component out. It was going to be a whole thing. I don't think it's going to sound very good. I don't think it's going to look very good because I don't even know if I can get the audio out of it specifically. It does have an optical, so maybe I can get audio out of it. But what good is it going to be to do that? And honestly, this video's gone on long enough. So I am not going to be doing that today. Maybe I will do a follow-up in the future where I finally do get it working and we can play through some of these other ones. Maybe I'll do that as a Patreon exclusive or something like that when I have more time and I feel like doing that. But this kind of frustrated me, the fact that I just want to plug it in and play the games. And it's just, there's no way around it. And I've looked up, can I crack it open? Can I do some software modding? Has someone figured out, you know, here, put this on a USB stick and boot your own firmware? I don't mind doing that. It's not like it's going to hurt anything. I'm not using this anymore. But there's just nothing. I was not able to find any way to get around it in order to capture what comes out of this PlayStation 3. It's just locked down. So I'll play some PlayStation games at some point when I feel like doing that and going down the nostalgia trip, but it won't be today. I've got other things to do. At least it was fun. I will tell you there was one other game that apparently I've lost. It was, I can't even remember the name of it. Tokyo Dogs? Tokyo something? Tokyo Jungle? Was it Tokyo Jungle? The whole premise, my friend showed me this game and I immediately bought it because it was just so cool. The entire premise is that you play as dogs in a post-apocalyptic world where humans are totally gone. They've just entirely died out, but dogs still exist and other animals. And you play as dogs where you have to survive and then breed with other dogs and then continue down generations. And that unlocks other breeds of dogs for you to play. So you play as like a Pomeranian, I think, to start out with. I didn't get very far in the game, but I do remember playing it a fun amount. And I always wanted to go back and play some more of that, and it's just gone. I think the account that had it downloaded has been long since wiped and deleted, and I don't have access to that email anymore. I don't know if I could buy that game again. I'm sure I can't because I'm sure PlayStation servers for the 3 and online and all that are shut down. I haven't tried it, but that was a fun time as well. I think that was one of the few PlayStation 3 games that I did wind up playing. Kingdom Hearts. I think I just realized I never even played the Kingdom Hearts games that I bought for PlayStation 3. They're opened, but I don't think I played them. I think I waited until they released the collections on Xbox and played them there. I'm pretty sure because I did wind up playing through 1 and I was going to play through 2 just within the last few years, and I never did. It was after 3 came out. Whoops. Anyway, PlayStation 2 specifically is really where the video game era began for us, and there's so many memories and so much here that I realize is really only going to be particular to the people who played these games, and my family especially, because even in some of the games that we played, we made our own games that will always be a higher, like the nostalgia of that will be higher than any other game, whether like the base game of whether or not, even though I enjoyed so much of Kingdom Hearts 2, if you made me pick, I'd pick one of these other ones just to play with the siblings again. I think that might be really where it comes down to, is the next time I get together with my siblings, I bring this and we bring a couple of these games that will still work and we just have a couple hours reliving old memories of playing through those games. That might be what really winds up happening, because yes, I have old consoles. Yes, I have old consoles. But when it comes right down to it, the effort to take it out and play through something older instead of all the new games that are constantly coming out and I'm playing, it just doesn't wind up happening. That's okay. They still exist, they're still here, and they should still function. At least this still turns on, even if I can't get a signal out of it, and I'm sure that some of these games still work, unless the discs have rotted, which happens. Disc rot is a thing, or if they got scratched up back in the day. I don't actually know the condition. Ooh. That's got some scratches to it. What a surprise. And I don't have any memory cards, but this has a built-in hard drive. That wouldn't even... Anyway, PlayStation. It's how we got started on video games for real. We entered a video game era and played video games for most of the rest of our lives. That's really where it got started for us. And it's the reason why when it comes time for family stuff, like I mentioned in the Christmas episode, we're mostly going to play a video game. That's how we spend time together. And it all started with the PlayStation 2 that I no longer have, but still got some of the games. These games that I grew up with have very strong nostalgia for me, and for that reason and so many others, this is something that I like.